A lot of photographers have talked about the fact that brides only want CDs. You know, everyone's kind of tech savvy these days, and like, how do you deal with that? How do you is that not your clientele? That
well,
does that,
it's not my clientele, the one that wants just the shoot and burn kind of thing. However, I don't hold those hostage anyway. I give them all to my clients. I give them their disc of high-res files. I want them to have them. I told you I don't want to do those stupid Christmas cards. But I believe that's not really the problem, is whether they're getting the disc. That's not the problem. The problem is that photography is becoming, it's becoming so cheap because the people who are doing the shoot and burn kind of thing are so inexpensive that they could afford to hire themselves. See, they have no appreciation for the value that they're producing a good product. And because of that, because they're not charging anything to begin with, that's really why we hate shoot and burn. It's really not because of the shoot and burn part. It's because all this cheap, you know, these photographers are willing to photograph a wedding for 200 bucks. The problem with that is that wedding photography is a hell of a lot of work. It is extremely hard. It is very, very stressful. And you have to go to plan A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. And I think that when photographers when I think they cheapen what they do, and they have no respect for the amount of work that they're going to have to produce to do that job, they think, oh, well, 50-cent CD, wow, I'm making a good living. No, I'm afraid you're not. You're not. And my philosophy is that, gosh, what is it? Is that it's not how much you charge to photograph an event that matters. It really doesn't matter how much you charge. It's what do you get to keep. That's really what matters. Because I know a number of photographers who charge a lot of money to photograph a wedding, but they give so much product away and they are there for so many days that they're really working for $20 an hour. And then I know a number of photographers who charge a relatively small amount, you know, maybe $3,000 or $4,000 to shoot an event, but they're only there for 3 or 4 hours and they're not giving their house away. Their cost of goods is very, very minimal. So in that case, they're actually making a very good living. So I would say it's not how much you charge, it's what you get to keep. And then I would say that this is the most important lesson I ever learned. I learned it from Dennis Reggie, and I learned it almost 20 years ago. And this you can absolutely take to the bank. If you can afford to hire yourself, you are too inexpensive. And the other thing that I have learned is that anything at all that you and I value, we pay for. We're willing to pay more for. And that maybe instead of charging so little, we should think about the fact that, you know, if we charged more, then maybe our products would be viewed as worthy of more. You know, there are 2 times in our lives, or very few times in our lives, when we give ourselves permission to spend money. Think about it. How many of you have ever waited till Christmas Eve to buy your wife or your husband a gift? And you think on Christmas Eve, you're going to go run over to that mall at 5 minutes to 6, and you're going to go, well, I want to think about this a little bit. No, your butt's in the sling if you don't bring home something. And at that point, you don't even care. You just want, you know that you're going to be in big trouble if you don't, right? So you're not buying a carton of eggs, people. You're not buying eggs when they hire your services as a photographer. They're hiring a skilled person that understands how to communicate with people, who understands emotional experiences, and yes, knows an f-stop from a bus stop, and knows how to make somebody, not just to press a shutter, but knows how to flatter their subject and make them look beautiful. And so I believe that quite often that the photographers who are willing to charge more for their services because they are worth it, and that people are willing to spend more on them because it makes them feel secure to do it. You know, it's kind of like this, and this is going to sound completely ridiculous, but you're telling me if this isn't true. Okay, in Northern California, plastic surgery is a big deal, okay? So imagine in your mind that you are, that you decide you're going to go get a facelift, okay? So the first guy you go see, you go to this guy, he works out of his home. He's only $2,500 to give you a full facelift, okay? So you get to his house, and here's this, his mother comes to the door to greet you. His mother comes to the door, and she's got a cigarette hanging out of her mouth right here. She blows smoke in your face, and she says, hey, honey, come on in. So you come in, you got to shoo the cats off the couch, okay? But you come down, and then the doctor comes in, and he's a little disheveled looking. He probably took a nap in the afternoon or something, you know? His hair's a little messy. He's wearing just his little jeans and stuff. He says, well, come on, I'll show you. He says, we do plastic surgery in my garage, okay? So he takes you out to the garage, and it's clean looking. But, you know, it is, after all, his garage, and his mother's still standing there smoking like a chimney. And on top of that, she's only 65 years old, but she looks like she's about 105, okay? So, but it's only $2,500 bucks. And if you book today, you can come in this weekend and get your facelift done. How many of you in this room would do that? None of us would, right? We'd be scared to death. You know he's not a real doctor, right? He probably ordered his doctor's certificate online, you know? And then, you know, he's so not a real doctor. Now, the other scenario, this other doctor that you're gonna go see, and I mean, you go and you had to first of all pay $50 to get an appointment to go see this guy. You walk in and there's this beautiful woman and she's perfectly coiffed and everything, and she makes a point of telling you that she's 65 years old, and you're going, holy cow, she looks like she's about 40 years old. She looks really put together, very attractive, and very well mannered. Then they take you into this other little room, and the doctor comes in. He's got his cute little doctor hat on and everything, and his little boots, because he just came out of surgery, and he's wearing, you know, his perfect little doctor outfit. He looks like a real doctor, right? He comes in and he looks perfect too. He just has everything nipped and tucked in the right places and looks really good. And so he sits down there and he talks to you personally, and he's sitting a little bit lower than you so that you feel like you're in command. And then he starts telling you about security and about this wonderful experience and how you're going to feel when you're done. And he really paints this picture. And because the entire experience validates that, when he tells you it's $25,000, you would readily pay it because it makes you feel secure. You go, wow, there's no way. I don't care, because there's some things money can't buy. And I'm sorry, but if my eyeball's down on my cheek when I'm done, I'm going to be in trouble. And I don't care if it's $25. You're not going to want that. So the moral of the story is that there are occasions in our life when it's appropriate for us to spend more money, and it makes us feel good. It makes you feel more secure to do so. And when a man buys his girlfriend that 3-carat diamond ring, by the way, Michael, that is at least it's a 3-month salary, right? What would you say if he brought you home a cubic zirconia? Okay, I'm sorry, it'll be happening, because there's times in our lives when it's appropriate to spend money. And so I tell you, this is absolutely where I come from. I came from an extremely poor family. When I was a child, toast was a luxury. I'd go to my girlfriend's houses, and we'd have toast for breakfast, and I'd be going, oh, I've died and gone to heaven. But you know what's really funny? In my little neighborhood in Columbus, Georgia, I lived in a shotgun house, and a shotgun house is when you can walk to the front door and you could shoot a shotgun and it would go out the back door. That's what a shotgun house is, okay? But I lived in one of those. Well, when you think about that, and then you think about the fact that some of my neighbors drove Cadillacs. They drove really nice cars. Who told them they could buy that Cadillac? Did they buy that? You think that car dealer gave them a deal and said, well, you know, you live in that neighborhood, you know, you couldn't afford to spend $40,000 on that car, $50,000. No, we're going to give you a deal. You think they did that? No. They'd say that car is $50,000, and if you like it, you're going to buy it. And some of my neighbors lived in cars that were way nicer than their homes were. And it's because it was important to them. And so that's my philosophy, is I believe that if it's important to you, that you will spend money on things that are valuable. My goal as a photographer and as an instructor is to teach photographers how to value their craft, and that we want to hold our heads up high, and we want to be able to send our children to college and have a wonderful lifestyle just as you do. I do not ever let a client dictate my price. And I will end it on that note.
Hear, hear.
Yeah. Woo! Sorry, this is absolutely my big soapbox. It bugs me to death. I mean, because it's really a shame, because the wedding industry especially, I mean, we're killing ourselves because we're working our butts off, and it is the hardest kind of photography out there, and yet many of us are just starving to death, and that's why we're becoming the way of a dinosaur anymore. So.
Well, everyone online, and I think everyone in this room appreciates what you're saying. So thank you very much.